How are mineral rights created? How are they transferred? And can they expire? We're going to answer all three of these questions today. So stay tuned and learn something. Howdy, folks. My name is Stephen Hatcher, and I'm the creator of Minerals Guy. I'm a professional mineral buyer and an oil and gas attorney with over a decade of experience buying, selling, and developing oil and gas properties. In this series, we're talking about mineral rights, what they are, how they're created, how they're transferred, and how to find out whether or not you own them. If you're enjoying our content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons so that you get notified whenever we post new content. Okay, folks, so today we're talking about three things. We're talking about how mineral rights are created, how they're transferred, and whether or not they can expire. So let's jump in. In episode 1 of this series, we learned what mineral rights are. We learned that mineral rights are one stick within our bundle of sticks or bundle of property rights. So how are mineral rights created? Well, it's not so much that they're created, right, as the rights to the minerals are inherent in the ownership of any piece of property. So what we really mean is the creation of a mineral estate that is separate and apart from the surface estate and the other rights of ownership in a piece of property. And this separation or severance occurs when the estate is granted in a conveyance or instrument of transfer. And we're going to talk about a couple of those instruments. So the first form of conveyance or instrument of transfer is a deed, right? So a mineral estate can be created by a deed conveying mineral rights to a third party. And this can happen through a mineral deed conveying all mineral rights to that party, or it can happen by something that's more limited, like a royalty deed, which conveys the right to receive a royalty only. So the next way to create a mineral estate is by a reservation. And this happens when a property owner sells their property but reserves rights to the minerals underneath, creating a new mineral estate. This means that the property that is conveyed in the instrument of transfer excludes rights to the minerals. So the next way to create a mineral estate is through a will. So a mineral estate can also be created by a last will and testament, where a decedent or deceased person conveys surface rights in a piece of property to one person and mineral rights in the same piece of property to another. And the fourth way to create a mineral estate is through a gift. So a mineral estate can be created by a gift or a donation instrument where one party gifts mineral rights to a third party. So once a mineral estate is created, how then is it transferred? Well, it's going to be transferred in all the same ways that we listed above. So think by a deed, by a reservation in a deed, by a will, or by a gift. Now, it's important to note that because mineral estates are classified as real property rights, their conveyance or transfer is going to be subject to what is known as the statute of frauds, meaning that every state is going to have requirements that transfers of mineral rights be made in writing. So if your grandma told you that she was going to leave you her minerals, make sure that she puts it in writing, because if she doesn't, then you're going to be out of luck. Also, different states are going to have different requirements in regards to notarial acknowledgement, whether the signatures of the parties need to be acknowledged by a notary public, and whether or not witnesses need to be present. There may also be additional requirements for mineral estates that are transferred by will or by gift. And finally, the conveyance or instrument of transfer is going to need to be recorded in the county where the property is situated in order for it to be effective against third parties. So can mineral rights expire? Well, it really depends on where you live. In most jurisdictions, mineral estates are perpetual, meaning that once the minerals are severed from the surface, they can be passed down from generation to generation in perpetuity. And what this means is that the mineral estate can have a separate and distinct chain of title from the surface of the property. And sometimes it can get extraordinarily complicated to follow this chain and to determine who owns what. This is actually what landmen do. Now, in some jurisdictions, mineral estates can expire or be reclaimed by the surface owner. Now, Louisiana is a great example of this. In Louisiana, a mineral estate is called a mineral servitude, and it's subject to what is known as prescription of non-use. In Louisiana, the rule is that if you don't use the minerals for 10 years, you lose it, meaning that the minerals will revert back to whoever owns the surface. So how do you use a mineral servitude in Louisiana or interrupt prescription? Well, prescription of non-use can be interrupted by the drilling of the well, and prescription is going to continue to be interrupted for as long as that well produces oil and natural gas. Now, other states such as Ohio have enacted dormant mineral statutes. Now, these dormant mineral statutes allow the surface owner to reclaim the minerals after some period of non-use. For example, the rule is actually 20 years in Ohio, and after notice is made to the mineral owner. If you have questions about whether your state has a Dormant Mineral Act, you can do some research on Google, or you can seek out the help of a qualified oil and gas attorney. Okay, folks, so let's wrap it up. So today we covered how mineral rights are created, how they're transferred, and whether or not they can expire. If you have questions about the creation or transfer of a mineral estate or its expiration, please make sure that you get in touch with a qualified oil and gas attorney. We hope you'll join us for part 3 of this series, where we're going to give you step-by-step instructions for how to determine whether or not you own the mineral rights under your property. If you enjoyed our content today, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. This is incredibly helpful to us and helps us to get this content out to more folks. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.